call the meeting to order at 7:08. Can we get a roll call, please?
Good evening, everyone. Mr. Ocampo?
Here.
Ms. Wall? Here. Ms. Nathan? Here. Mr. Murphy?
Here.
Ms. Cohen?
Here.
Ms. Lahano? Mr. Lee?
Here.
Mr. Otapinti?
Here.
Mrs. Garrett? Here. Ms. Tahada?
Here.
And Ms. Lee.
Here. All right, Pledge of Allegiance, Ms. Coach.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Moving on to the minutes. I'm sorry, the agenda. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda if there's no changes?
I move to approve agenda.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, minutes. Unless there are any changes to the minutes.
Move to approve the minutes of December 10, 2019.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so report out of closed session. The board is still in deliberation on closed session. We're gonna go back into closed session after we finish this meeting. Moving on to communications. We'll start over on that side of the board. Mr. Crumple.
Hello. Good evening, everyone. So at Jefferson, for the last Friday, we had our elective fair, which a bunch of classes came out, clubs, sort of that thing, to show what electives, what they do, whether it be woodshop, auto tech, band, events like that, to show students who are interested or may not have known about these clubs to see, or electives to see what they're like and maybe even join them next year. It was really nice, and yeah. This Friday is our Another Foods Day for Jefferson, where clubs or teams can sell food to students for a token-based system. It's really nice. It lets students, to try different foods out, try a lot of foods out, and it's really fun and an eventful day. Last Thursday and this upcoming Thursday, we're gonna have another an AP meeting. This is for any freshmen, sophomores, juniors who are interested in AP. They can attend these meetings, and these meetings will go into in-depth about what each AP class is, how to apply, and any necessary materials coming into next year for those AP classes. There's a robotics tournament this February 1st at Jefferson. We are hosting the tournament. There's going to be a whopping 32 teams present there, so it'll be a really exciting event. There's, of course, food, and, of course, the robotic competition itself, so please come out. Mission Fusion presents Pandora, their annual dance show. It's coming February 6th, 7th, and 8th. Tickets are available at missionfusion.com, and please hope you make it there. It's going to be exciting. That's really it. Thank you.
For Westmore, last Saturday we held our 15th annual Winter Ball. Compared to previous years, this year's Winter Ball, the students thought that it was a lot better compared to previous years. There were more students on the dance floor, and there's like a new addition. We had games such as like an air hockey table, foosball, and a little background for photos if students were interested in that. So overall, props to Westmore's ASB for pulling this off. And now, most of the spring sports have started at Westmore, such as boys soccer and co-ed track and field, with badminton starting up and swimming having its meeting on Friday. Like Jeff, IFD International Foods Day is also coming up for Westmore on February 7th, where clubs get to come together and provide food for students and fundraise.
And in continuation with that, quad games started happening. So basically all the boys and girls basketball teams go against each other, and I'm happy to say Westmore has been doing a pretty good job. And the common buying class advertisement starting, and their class is supposedly going to start on the 4th of February. And auditions for the spring concert and spring musical has been finished up.
All right, so this Friday at Terra Nova, it's the best day of the year. It's food fair.
All right, so yeah, it's always a lot of fun. All the students get involved, raise a lot of money for different clubs, different organizations on campus. So it's always a really good event, lots of fun for everyone involved. So I'm really excited to see how that goes.
And then we're having our winter formal in a couple of weeks on February 8th. So everyone's really excited for that. There's a lot to talk about what people are going to wear. So that's always really fun. And then in addition, our drama program is going to be premiering their show of Romeo and Juliet in a week or two. I'm not exactly sure of the date that it premieres, but I know that our drama department has been working very hard on that, so excited to go see that. So, yeah.
Well, I think that I've had a handful of meetings over the past couple of weeks, but I think the one that really sticks out would be the San Mateo County School Board Association Legislative Forum, which thank you so much, Talima, for your hard work in organizing that, because that was really fantastic to be able to sit around the table with our local legislators, and I know Mr. Murphy, you were there as well, and so it was great to see you, and just again, just having the opportunity to just spend some time asking them questions and hearing from them is always invaluable.
Going back to work in school this semester, nothing else much to report. So.
I want to wish everyone a happy Chinese New Year since it is coming up. I did not wear my outfit today. It was a little cold. I shall maybe wear it next time. I did have a great meet and greet with County Supervisor David Canova, and he requested I bring up the subject of the census, which is important to all of us. So I just want to read a little excerpt about it, just so I don't miss any information to distribute out, and I'm sure he will be giving me information as time to come to, you know, if there's anything we can do to volunteer or help to support it, as is very important to all of us. So once a decade, America comes together to count every resident in the United States, creating national awareness of the importance of the census and its valuable statistics. So the first census was taken in 1790 as mandated by the Constitution. It counts our population and household, providing the basis for reproportioning congressional seats, redistricting, and distributing more than $675 billion in federal funds annually to support states, communities, counties' vital programs impacting housing, education, transportation, employment, healthcare, and public policy. And of course, the most important program here for us would be education, so I wanted to bring it up. And that's about it. And I am also still selling candy and Jamba Juice for the Betty Shaw Scholarship Fund, probably till March. So if anybody needs some candy or Jamba Juice, come and see me, or I will try to come to the schools again and sell more candies and Jamba Juice. So thank you.
Great. I don't have much to report, except I did also attend the Legislative Forum. I'm pretty sure we were heard, but I don't think we were necessarily listened to. So it's, ooh, they're good at talking, I'm telling you. Anyway, it's an uphill battle, I think, for us. And so we have to just keep advocating for our schools.
Yeah. So thank you to everyone who came out to Legislative Day for the San Mateo County School Boards Association. It's the third one we've organized. And it's the first one that all of our legislators have come to, and we also had our candidates for the State Senate District Seat 13. So it's really hard to talk to people once they're elected, to try to convince them to do things. The time to talk to them is before they're elected. So I was glad that we're able to have that conversation with the candidates who are running to replace State Senator Jerry Hill, because he's turned out. And I'm currently working on a meeting to talk to the candidate who's running against State Senator Scott Wiener for the North County reps, and so hopefully I should have that organized within the next couple of weeks. We need to constantly stay in front of them, but at the same time, they are very comfortable just telling us no. Way too comfortable just saying no. Yeah. Or telling us that we need to be out on the street. I mean, to quote, we were told that we need to stand on the corner and, you know, right now and start advocating for our schools. Like, I don't do that already all the time. And then why is it solely the responsibility of school boards? He said, you guys instead of we, you know, and I think that's part of the problem, is that our state elected officials don't see this as a joint issue that we all need to deal with, that it's solely something that they feel like we need to deal with. Even when they vote in laws that directly affect us, when we ask for assistance with dealing with those laws, it was kind of like, you know, we'll see. So that is why it's really important to vote, because there needs to be accountability. If they're not willing to help us with something that is half of the budget, then they should not be in office, period. The other thing that I want to talk about quickly is that this weekend, I went to the equity retreat that Nicole Anderson holds annually in San Diego. So it's more of a deep dive. It was 2 days, 2 full days of really talking about equity in education. One of the really impactful things that happened was, for those that have been through equity training, there is the equity education walk where they go through the history of education, and they brought in a curator who actually had living documents of all the things that historically that went along with that timeline, just to talk about a different way to teach history, that, you know, instead of using books don't mean anything and it only shows one context, but to broaden the context. So, for example, he had the California law book, the actual book that had, with the year that it was written in the law, that it was okay to open another school if more than 10 Chinese students enrolled in that school. Just so to just see that actual book, or the actual newspaper that had items in it going back to slavery. So it was just kind of moving, I don't know, to actually physically hold the documents in your hand or read the articles of the day that had to deal with precisely how we ended up here. So it just gave me a broader sense of context and made me rethink, like, how do I go about learning about specific historical things that are historically relevant to broaden my scope. So it was a really great weekend.
So just a couple of things. This past week, in the rainstorm of the century, Executive Cabinet, Monica, Alan Gu, and I went to Sacramento to hear the governor's budget workshop. And we didn't hear anything new. And along with everything else you said tonight, it's like we're on our own here. There's no new money coming in. There's some new requirements coming in. There was a little bit of money for special ed, but it was unclear how that was going to come to us. But what we did hear about were the additional things that we're going to have to do. So that was a concern. But I was really glad that we got to go and hear that together, because it would be difficult to communicate that back. So I was glad for that. I did send you an email that Dr. Marenko's grandma passed away. She's been sick for a while and in hospice. He was at work today, but he's helping his mom plan the funeral, which she thinks will be next week. So when I have more details, I'll let you know about that. I went to Jeff last week. If I already talked about this, tell me. But I went to Jeff to observe their flex time. Did I already tell you about this? No. Okay, so I didn't want to go first semester because they were just getting it off the ground and working on all the bugs. So last week I went over to Jeff during flex time, and I was impressed with how everybody knew where they needed to be. Students all knew, and I mean, there were no students wandering around once flex time started. So I was really pleased with that. We walked into a number of classrooms, and I think what makes it easier and why it's probably appealing now to some other schools in our district is there's an app now. In the olden days, we'd have all these pieces of paper trying to keep track of where students were going, and it was just hard to monitor. But now there's actually an app where students can choose who they want to be with, except for those conditions when a teacher absolutely must see a student. If they have low grades, if they have a test to make up, things like that. So there was one classroom that I went into where I saw a particular board member's daughter as part of a collaborative group working on a presentation. So there's also this built-in time for students to work on their projects, but not that it's flawless. Mr. Bashir's know there's still some issues and they're working through all that, but I think it's the right direction. So I was really happy to see that. And I too am also selling candy for the Betty Show.
you before her.
And
I got some in the car, so we need to.
I just
meltways.
I also realized I forgot to mention, thank you to everybody who came to the Daily City Council meeting, that, we were with before the council, and it was a little long night, and our teachers and staff hung out and did their public comment, which was hugely helpful and influential in helping guide our city council to the direct decision to make the first step to approve our teacher and staff. I don't know why they couldn't connect the two words, but teacher and staff housing. So also just a huge thank you to Ms. Van Raphorst for, I can't even talk about how many hours of work that you've dedicated to making this a possibility for our district, from a possibility to a reality. I've just been in awe of all the work that you've done, so I'm super happy that we're able to get that moved forward with all the work that you put in, so thank you. Okay, moving on from AFT local.
I don't really have anything. I've been to a couple of AFT functions, and then the governor's discussion about the budget and the Daily City Council meeting. So we were very happy that they voted as we knew they would, but to hear from people, I think does help, and it will continue to help us moving forward in our other endeavors.
Moving on to our first presentation, the ASB Student Activities presentation, Terranova High School. Welcome.
Oh, geez.
What's happening? Okay. All right. Good evening, Dr. Deloria and the board. We are super excited to talk about all the different activities that have been going on at Terranova lately. So before we get into those things, we'll introduce ourselves first. So most of you know me. I am Amanda. I am ASB president.
I'm Jade. I'm ASB secretary.
And my name's Liam. I'm the ASB treasurer.
All right. So we will get started. So the first thing we want to talk about is the different community work that we have been up to. So we will start with the Good Deed Award. So the Good Deed Award recognizes students and staff for good deeds they've been doing around campus, and we send an email out, a Google form out about every month, and students can nominate staff and staff can nominate students. And this is just a really great way to promote a positive culture and encourage the good deeds and recognize those that are doing great things every day. So as you can see in the picture, we have a student on the very far left with their award. On the back it also has a quote from their nominator so they know what they're recognized for. And on the next two pictures in the middle we have Ms. Seibel, one of our vice principals, and on the far right we have Mr. Carruthers, which is our ceramics teacher. So awesome to recognize them there.
Okay, so staff appreciation and involvement, this is something that we really started doing this year. Last year we would have staff judge certain things like hallway decorations, but this year we kind of stepped it up. So the first thing we did this year was give out plants. We bought succulents and other types of plants. We potted them in the same little pink cups, we labeled them. We gave them out to every staff. In there you can see our office ladies. They're holding little succulents. We thought they were really cute and they still have them. Another thing we did before the winter break was we gave out holiday cards. We had every leadership student write holiday cards and we put them in their mailboxes. Just, staff appreciation. Very cute. And the last thing that we did is we actually gather staff and we have them judge certain things. So we had them judge hallway decorations. Each grade decorated their own hallway, and we had the staff pick their favorite one. And then another thing we did was hallway costume contest. So, or Halloween, sorry. On Halloween we had a costume contest and we invited the staff to come judge. They enjoyed it, we enjoyed it. We love the staff so much and we thought it was really fun. So yes. Okay. Another thing is donation drives. This year we've done a book drive and a one warm coat drive. For both the turnouts, I thought were super amazing. Our first one this year was the book drive. We got 255 books and let me just tell you, this one was like very big. In the past drives that we've had, the promotion, we've had it, but this year we really stepped up our game with like posting about it, and so many students donated. There was even kids like on the rally day like bringing in bins of books, like here, please add this to it. And the next one we did during the wintertime was the One Warm Coat Drive, and students donated coats, and the turnout with that was like really amazing as well. So both of these were amazing, so great. Yes.
Okay, sports and extracurriculars. Okay, so band this year, they placed 6th out of 15th in their final competition. In the top left corner, you can see the band playing at one of the many home football games this year. On the left is the band after they performed at the Fog Fest this year. In the bottom left is the Terranova band with Cabrillo and Valimar elementary school bands. It's where they can kind of help the middle schoolers and the elementary school kids learn what they're in for high school. And then on the bottom right is the color guard practicing for the rallies. All right. Next is drama. We didn't have any fall performances or plays this for the fall semester, but we do have Drop Dead Juliet coming January 31st through February 2nd. So here's your informal invitation.
Please come.
And then for some sports, some notable achievements for the fall semester was volleyball placed first in the SF Invitational Tournament. Football made it to their second round of CCS for the fall semester. The girls water polo, their record was 10-4. 6 players from the girls tennis team made it to PALs. The entire boys cross country team qualified for CCS this semester, and 2 of the players from the girls cross country team made it to CCS as well.
Okay, so dedication of Bill Gray Stadium. This year, during one of the football games, Terranova dedicated our stadium to Coach Bill Gray. He was a coach for 42 years, head coach. He coached at both Terranova and Oceana. He had 256 wins in football, and he also made it to 2 CCS championships. He was just a really inspirational coach, really big part of our community, so I thought it was really amazing that we dedicated the stadium to him. So yes.
Okay, so we've had a lot of unique events this semester, so we'd love to share some of those with you. And we started off our first week of school with our first ever week of welcome, which had featured throughout the week. We had quad games every day, and then we ended with a really cool fair. And this was really different in the sense that it really brought the whole school together at a big event in a different way than we've done before. And not only did it welcome new students back, but it really created fun and welcoming environments for our freshmen as well, and just other new students. So that was a great way to start the week off, as we can see, start the whole year off. And we can see in the top left we have hula hoops. Top left is the jump roping, and the top right is the hula hoops. And Jade's going to talk a little bit more about some other awesome events we had on that fair day.
Yes, yes. Let me just say, we've never done this in the past, but this week of welcome was literally so amazing. The turnout was so great, and we were all so excited to orchestrate it. It was just so awesome. So on Friday we had a fair, and we had different stations. If you could see at the top right, that's a bead making or bracelet making station. That was really fun. Leadership sold like Terranova merch. There was a temporary tattoo station. There's Kate right there. And then those are just some teachers. We also had music going, temporary tattoos, face painting. That was super fun. All the students really enjoyed every single station. There was just so much going on, and anywhere you went in the quad, there was just something new. This was seriously so amazing, and the turnout was so great. I thoroughly enjoyed it so much.
Awesome. And another event that we hadn't done before is we we're really inspired by all the youth movements and strikes for climate change, so we wanted to do our part and also educate our community. So we held an environmental gathering, and we had student speakers, which was a great place for them to motivate their peers and educate them. And we also had a speaker from the San Mateo Office of Sustainability come and speak as well. And you can see from part of the view here, there's a pretty good turnout, which was great. And then after the presentation and just a discussion, motivating each other, there was also a time afterwards to meet her, talk with her, and she had different volunteer opportunities and just different ways to get involved and stay informed, so we can continue to keep our students engaged to make a difference and continue to be educated about this important issue.
Ooh, club fair. Okay. So this year we had a club fair in the gym. Each club had their own booth. And it was just a way for clubs to really reach out to the students. Clubs got sign-ups, students were able to sign up, and just get a taste of what all the clubs are in Terra Nova. This was really amazing. I enjoyed how it was in the gym. It was really just close, and all the students could see every single club. A lot of sign-ups were made, and the clubs were a hit, so yeah, that's what I have to say. Open house, okay, me again. Okay, so we had an open house. Again, this was in the gym. Each department had their own booth. Yeah, it was literally so amazing. 8th graders and their parents were able to come in, get to know the staff a little bit more. Each department was able to say a little, thing. Really great turnout. This was very fun. Leadership also sold merch. There was just a lot going on, and it was really organized, really great too. Yeah, having it in the gym was just really good.
Okay, so something new we did this year was the Halloween costume contest, and this was the first year out of my 4 that I noticed some serious participation on Halloween. We had some really cool costumes. In the left picture, that's me and the peanut. So I thought it was a lot of fun. We had the officers come up and do the judging. So yeah, it was a lot of fun.
People really stepped up their game.
Yeah, clearly.
Okay, next, in November, we had a basketball tournament. This was super amazing. So 2 weeks prior, we started sign-ups. Kids were able to sign up in teams of 3. And so what we did is we split the court, half-court games. Each game was 7 minutes, so we can fit a few games during lunch. And the turnout was really, really amazing. If you could see on the left-hand side, like half the stands were filled up, and then that's even the other side of the gym. Students were sitting out. Both the stands were pulled out. Students really enjoyed this. Eat your lunch, look at a basketball game, super fun. Again, we're gonna do a dodgeball tournament this semester, and it's just really fun. Students really enjoy it, so really amazing.
Okay, so another event, this was actually at the very end, one of the last events that we had at the end of last year, but definitely it's also one of my favorites, so I wanted to make sure we talked about this as well, is we had hosted the LAF prom, so special ed prom for many of the schools, not just ours, but others in the district as well. And the theme, as you can see, the invitation there was Disney themed, so it turned out really cute. It's one of my favorites just to be able to dance with them and have a good time. And we also had everyone got little Mickey ears, and we had different photo booths, and it was really fun. Another event that we help organize and give volunteers for is the Special Olympics. As you can see, there's one of the stations is the bowling, another one is the track competition. So we rotated through the different stations, and there's volunteers from in leadership, but also outside. So we had a lot of just great interaction between everyone. Everyone had a great time helping and doing the games with them, and that was also those two are just two of my favorite events.
Okay, some of the additional events we hold are Tiger and Rally auditions, and that's just for anyone who's interested in playing one of the Tigers at the rally or wanting to perform at the rally. We also had our first blood drive inside of our gym this fall semester, which is different from, we usually have a bus that comes and then people do that. It can be kind of cramped, so it was nice to have the gym to open up, and we had a lot more people being able to donate with that. Link Crew this year, in the beginning of the school year, held a freshman orientation, as well as a barbecue to just get everyone used to the flow of how high school was going to go. Homecoming this year was themed Bay Area. And we started something this year which was Letters to Soldiers. It was our first time doing this. We had students and people in leadership write letters to soldiers, and then we sent those off. And then food fair this first semester was really big as well. We had a huge variety of food. Like the Latinx Club brought like 7 different options. It was really cool, yeah.
I see why you're excited about it.
Okay, so now we had, the first semester we just had 2 rallies. We had the Harry Potter rally and the Bay Area rally. We're going to talk a little bit about those. One thing that we also did that was kind of different, we had painting parties for the rallies. So students from outside of leadership, since we do have hallway decorations, that's usually just leadership. We open it up to all students to come and help make decorations for their grades, hallway decorations, and they're each assigned hallways that are then judged, like Jade said, by our staff.
Okay, so we have the 2 rallies the first semester. The first one was themed Harry Potter, which was my personal favorite, and then the second one was just Bay Area themed, so that one was pretty cool too. The favorite spirit days from the Harry Potter rally was Free Dobby Day, which was where got to wear all like crazy socks, stuff like that. And then the second one was Wingardium Leviosa, I think I'm saying that right, which is Dress Your Best Day or Dress Fly. And then for the Bay Area rally, the favorite days for that one was Beach Bum Day, which is, you know, you just wear comfy clothes, and then Love on Hate, which is tie-dye and colorful clothing.
And then we made some promotional videos that was really definitely helped increase the spirit for leading up to the rally. So we wanted to share one of those with you. So we'll play the Harry Potter one.
Dobby? Yes, let's give Dobby a shock. What? Monster was presented to clothes. Dobby is
Okay, so that's a little peek at that one. And then one more we wanted to share with you is at the very beginning of the year, since we wanted the whole school to know who their class officers are and the rally commissioners, so when there's different events going in class, if they have any questions about different things for what's going on for their class fundraisers or any suggestion, questions, we want to make sure they knew who their officers were and who they should go to. So there is a video made about this so they can know who they were. Oh, sorry, it's actually friends one. Maybe try the link on the presentation maybe. Let's see. Yeah, let's try that one. Yes, perfect. right, so we just wanted all of our students to know that we're there to support them and want them to know who we are and that they can always reach out to us. So, let's see. Here, I'll go back.
All right.
It's all good. Here, I'll go through the next. All right. You can see those again.
Just a summary.
Okay. There we go. So quad games.
Yeah, so next up, quad games. We had quad games during the week of welcome, and of course for our spirit weeks for the rallies, Harry Potter rally and Battle of the Bay. My favorite quad games were the pie eating contest, musical chairs, and the volleyball game. So for the pie eating contest during the week of welcome, we just bought one pie and we gave each contestant a slice. That was really fun. It was very messy. We usually have like a few messy games, and kids really enjoy it just because I don't know why. They like it, I don't know. That was super fun. We had it in front of our gym. A lot of students came. The turnout was great. The whole week of welcome was amazing. And then next up for the Harry Potter rally was musical chairs. If you could see in the bottom photo, right around the yellow bench we had the musical chairs. This was literally so amazing. On the railings above, students were able to look down at the quad game. Students were surrounding it. This quad game was seriously so fun. The weather was nice too. It was just perfect. And then for the Battle of the Bay, we had a volleyball game where we had football players against the volleyball team. That was super fun too. We had it in the gym. Students were again able to like stack on their lunch, watch the volleyball game. Super, super fun. Turnout was amazing for all three. So, yes.
Right, and then for the rallies this year, we had, again, the Harry Potter in Bay Area, and then I thought the Harry Potter one was the strongest. That's one of our rally commissioners, Justin Dumbledore. So one of my favorite games we did for that rally was, it was like Quidditch, where we had some of our staff members go against some of the students. And then we also had a magic trick, which was we had one of the students come down and perform in front of the whole school, which was really cool. I don't even know really how we did it, but yeah.
Okay, clubs. These are all of our clubs. We have about 20. So yeah, take a look. Those are our clubs. Let's get into it. So, club projects. These are just a few. Clubs have definitely done more than this, but these are some of my favorites. So earlier this year, Link Crew, they host freshman orientation. That is super amazing, super fun. It's a good way just to get the freshmen involved and kind of integrated into the school. And then we also had a freshman tailgate. So during the first football game of the year, the freshmen were able to hang out with Link Crew leaders and other students. We gave them tickets and they were able to get free food. And then they were invited in the stands with us so they could watch the football game, and that was super, super fun. Really good way too, just to get to know the freshmen. Super amazing. And then we have other things. So Women's Advocacy Club had a tampon drive. So unopened boxes were donated. Turnout was good on that. SIA had dream boxes. So basically they make an Amazon wish list. They get school supplies, and then they make different dream boxes for both big and little kids. That's super amazing as well. Inner Art Club had both a costume collection drive and a canned food drive. Turnouts for these were amazing. And then right now, something that's going on is Change the World Club gave envelopes to each English class for students and staff to donate, and anything helps. So I think that's really amazing. These are my favorites, so yeah.
All right. And I want to talk a little bit more about one of our clubs since it's new and they're doing a lot of amazing work on campus. Want to give some more recognition to them. So it is the Tiger News Network, and they do a lot of stuff. One of them is they have a YouTube channel, so if you want to check it out, you can see all their videos, but I'll tell you a little bit about a few of them. So they do updates that's kind of like our announcements, except it's like a news broadcast, and so they talk about different updates what's going on campus, let us know what different dates and deadlines students should be watching out for, as well as different updates such as they give short clips of sports games, short clips of different activities of what clubs are doing around campus. So it's great that they're doing that, and the videos always turn out great. They've always also not only do highlights of Terra Nova, but they also do help with some other videos, such as I know they helped with promoting Measure Y, and they also helped with our school elections. So as you can see with that photo there, that is someone in front of the green screen, and they are videotaping their speech to the school, and then that was videotaped and played in English classes before the students voted on who to be their class officers. So it was great that that was the first time we did that this year. So that was the freshmen. We'll be implementing that for the other class officers for the votes later this year. So it's great to have their help with those types of things. Also, different school groups, they can request to have the Tiger News Network record some of their different events that are going on, and they can either put that in their broadcast, or they can also just get that footage for anything they might need it for as well. So it's great they're doing that, and not only are they videotaping different student groups on campus, they also have their own events. So they do photo booths, and they've done this at football games. They did it at our open house, which was lots of fun, and they also have hosted different movie nights, which is great for our student population. So they're doing a lot. I wanted to show you a little bit about one. We can just kind of watch the first couple minutes of one. This is one of their most recent broadcasts. Just since they're doing some awesome stuff, I want to just show you a little bit about what one is like.
All right.
You have lost the cursor. Can you click on that?
Oh yeah, sure.
The YouTube video up there?
Here, I can
All the way to the
probably.
right.
I think it's the.
Drop, yeah.
Yeah, here I can play.
Sorry.
Oh, good. Here we go.
What's up, Tigers? I'm Hyson. And I'm Chrislyn. And welcome to the last broadcast of the decade. Today is Ugly Sweater Day and tomorrow's Pajama Day, so don't forget to bring your comfiest jammies.
Oh, there we go.
It's also Beethoven's birthday and National Chocolate Covered Anything Day. Are finals sneaking up on you? Do you need some time to relax and prepare? There will be a cookie with cram at lunch today in the College and Career Center. Last call for diploma name forms and graduation gown measurement.
Okay. Sorry for the little technical difficulty, but you get a little bit of idea about what they do. They got the green screen up, they got looking very professional, so that's awesome that they do that. I'll maybe get a little help from tech to get us back to what it's supposed to look like.
It's not working.
Here, I can, let's see what I can do. No, I will keep my hand away from the mouse now. There we go. Awesome. So Tiger News Network, they're really awesome. You should go to their YouTube channel and check out more of their broadcasts. They do some pretty awesome stuff. And then also very important, we want to talk a little bit about our College and Career Center and just other events that are going around on campus to help prepare our students for college and beyond. So some different events that have happened. So we've had at the end of last semester was our career fair, which is great for all of our students to get to talk to people in different professions and get an idea of what those are like, ask questions, just get some inspiration from that. And we also have had, which has been really great, the Terranova Education Foundation paid for Kaplan SAT prep, which is an opportunity that most students would not have been able to have. So being able to have that as a reduced price and getting that opportunity for students was great to prepare for the SAT, since that is a really big part, obviously, of getting into college. So that was really helpful. And then we also have lunch table visits. So this semester we had about 22 visits from colleges where the students can go and ask questions, and that college comes here. They have pamphlets, handouts. That's great for information for that. Also, there is a really great workshop that was hosted by UC Santa Barbara. So this is where the personal insight questions are definitely a challenging part of the application for students, for seniors. So they came and hosted a workshop, told us a little bit about what they're looking for, some different ways to approach it, and some do's and don'ts, some good examples, which was a really good opportunity for students. I know there's a good turnout there to try to definitely help students a lot of what they're looking for and help with that, since this is a really big step in our lives. So it was nice to have that support there. There was also the College and Career Center. They hosted some field trips trip. So they actually went to UCSF and they also went to UC Berkeley. So those two pictures on the left-hand side are from those two campuses there. So there is a group of 32 juniors and seniors that had the opportunity to go visit the campuses. So something, again, they probably wouldn't have had the chance to do without the help of the College and Career Center. The transportation and the lunch was all paid for by the Terra Nova Education Foundation, so really thankful for them as well. And then lastly, it was kind of slightly mentioned, if you caught it in the Tigers News Network announcement, we had a, preparing for finals, we had a Cocoa and Cram session, so that's where students could gather, have some tutors, work on some last minute studying, cramming for those finals. That was one of the last events we had before the end of our last semester, which was great to have those opportunities for students there. And that is all we have for you. That's all that's been going around Terra Nova, so we'd love to have any questions or anything like that.
Okay, opening up the floor, any questions or comments?
I'd like to make a comment. I liked your ASV thing. I really like the book fair and stuff. That's really cool. I want to recommend that I did, and Mr. Simon Sowers can do that too.
Awesome.
Great presentation. Love the enthusiasm that you guys have for what you've done this first semester, and definitely upped the game. It's really exciting to see what you guys have done creatively with the rallies and the themes and everything. So well done, really well done. And you know, your social media game is pretty strong. I do follow you guys on Instagram.
Awesome.
The stuff that you guys do. I do it with all the other schools too. But I've noticed, you know, even your social media game's really gone up this year, so as opposed to last year. So it's been really fun to see.
Good to hear.
Great work. All these presentations are amazing. I think they only get better in every school, and it's a strong presentation. The videos, and we were mentioning for some other schools, is always a nice touch because, yeah, to see how it kind of plays out and how other students can see it too, right? So if students aren't in that moment, they can always get back into that school spirit online. So that is really big. Yeah, just I know one thing too. I noticed with the Tiger News Network, when we were showing CNN student news at another school I was working at, there was a shout out to Terra Nova on that. So I remember that and I was like, oh, that's cool. At the time I was at South City and we had a really strong broadcasting program there. And so they were incorporating some of the elements that you're putting together. A lot of our schools put together. It's good to see it in action because I feel like that's a strong thread. And you can look it up, it's from like 2015 or something, I don't know. But yeah, just shout out to that. That's really good work. And letters to soldiers. I think it's very timely, especially right now. There's a lot of things going on in the world, and so I think it's good for those of our community in service, in public service, to hear from students and from every angle, because I think that we need to hear that in this conversation. So great work. Keep it up.
I don't have your presentation was fantastic, and the amazingness of your school definitely shines through. So keep up the good work. I mean, I just want to add, to all the great things that they're saying about your school, but I definitely, see the inclusiveness of the community and caring for the students, and not just the students, but the staff is, really appreciated because, everybody wants to feel like, they're part of the community. So thank you for doing that and keep up the great work.
No, I just love your energy, and I mean it just shines through, just the presentation, but I really get an idea of what is going on at Terra Nova, because I mean your enthusiasm, your energy that you carry to our boardroom, I mean I can see it in all the pictures there too, and the videos. So thank you so much for your great presentation and representing your school so well. And I just love how Terra Nova always has the donation drives and always trying to, I mean, especially with the freshmen, trying to make them so comfortable right away. And so focuses on them, and it doesn't go away. Throughout the whole year, they're included, and I think it's super important. Because, it's been a long time since I was, a freshman, but I know that a lot of my daughter's friends, it's scary going to high school, especially you're a little 8th grader and you're shadowing and they're men with beards and you find out that they're students. I think it's a student, and so You know, it's just, I just really love what you're doing at Terra Nova, and shout out to your ASB advisor and Miss Carrie and your staff. Thank you so much for everything you do for our students.
Yep, everything's been said. Thank you for coming out after school today and still having this much level of energy.
I know.
And presenting everything that's going on at Terra Nova. It's a really well-rounded presentation that had a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
And then again, you know, nothing is possible without a teacher that is willing to step up and sponsor the club. So big thank you to Mr. Escalante for all the work that he's done with all of you guys. I know it's been a journey to get, with the transition, with the new teacher, to get the ASB up and running again. So it's amazing what you guys have done in such a short period of time to get such a robust program is commendable. So thank you to all of you guys for working in hand with the teachers and staff at Terra Nova to really have a program that shines and is a really great recruiting tool in helping students understand why Terra Nova is an excellent school. So, Dr. Deloria.
So I agree with everything that's been said. But one of the things I've noticed now after 3 years is that because we have student trustees from all the schools, that when an ASB gets up and shares their presentation, rather than competition, there's this exchange of ideas that's happening here. So every time we have a presentation, you can see how things are being borrowed and, you know, put to, you know, with their own voice, of course. But I love seeing that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so moving on to the next item on the agenda, consent agenda. If there's nothing that needs to be pulled, can I get approval?
Move to approve consent.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, next thing is public comment. Do we have any cards?
No board cards at this time.
All right, awesome. Moving on to that. So the next item on the agenda is their discussion items. First item is the Student Advisory Council reports. You should just stay back. Yeah.
So Go Green Committee, we can get ourselves set up here. There's four of you guys.
Yeah, you cheers. They can just say thanks in turn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, John's first.
Yes.
Right. So, hello again. So, the Student Advisory Council is super excited to talk a little bit about the different projects that we've been working on lately. So, we have 3 different committees. Here we have the Go Green, we have security and facilities, which are the 3 issues that as a group we decided were the most important to us at the moment and the most important to our student bodies at the moment. So we wanted to talk a little bit about the different things we've been seeing and also make some suggestions about that. So the first group we have here is going to be the Go Green Committee. So before they introduce themselves, I just want to also say that this is a really important issue right now for this is our society, just our world as a whole. We've even just seen recently, kind of what I mentioned earlier, is just even the fires in Australia. We have just seen that the severity of things going on. We've just seen the effects of climate change, how that has made even just natural disasters so much more severe. And there's just things that have been happening, such like natural disasters, but also other things happening slowly that we don't see all the time, but are happening and are changing our lives that we need to be aware about. So we need to be doing everything we can to be making a difference in our community, but not just that, we should be, as our school board, being the leaders in our community for that. So we are excited to share some of those suggestions with you today, and I'll let them take the rest of the way.
Okay, so we are the, that's right. So we are the Go Green Committee. My name is Helene Kleinfeld.
I'm Kate Ryder from Terra Nova. I'm Teresa Nathan from Westmore High School.
And I'm Justine Saligo from Jefferson High School.
I guess before I start, I should mention that I'm also from Terra Nova High School. So our goals for this school year, there's the clicker. Okay, so our goals for the school year include recycling and compost bins all over campus. We want to meet with staff and help integrate programs that'll help push students to recycle. And of course, we want posters depicting what goes in the various bins. So, you know, the gray bin is the landfill, the blue bin is recycling, the green bin is compost, you know. And we want a compost system that'll work in conjunction with various garden clubs. So if they need compost, we can give them the compost from the green compost bins. And we're also planning to have biodegradable utensils for school lunches. And then our goals continued is, our other goals include having a used clothing drop off to recycle clothes at different times throughout the years. Donating used clothing is important because clothes are being reused instead of just being thrown away or going to waste, which is good. And then we want to have weekly and monthly campus cleanups at the school or at the beach. And lastly, we also want to collect bottles and cans for funding for various clubs.
And now for recycling and compost. So basically, just like what Helene said, we want the addition of compost and recycling bins to be added throughout all of our campuses. And from this, we would like to replace that one giant bin we have, just collecting all different waste students produce. And from this, we would like to have little bins that are labeled as landfill and compost and recycling. And above them, we have images depicting which item goes into which bin. And from this, we'd also like to partner with the Recology and any type of environmental action club at our schools to make this happen.
Okay, some projects we've started this year. So at the beginning of the year, when we first started meeting, each advisory council member within the Go Green Committee immediately expressed interests in thinking of better ways to make our campuses more environmentally friendly, whether it's creating or strengthening new waste disposal systems like the recycling or compost, or if it's implementing new eco-friendly materials into our lunchrooms. And what a better way to educate and gain support from the student body than to start Go Green clubs at every school. The clubs that this includes are Grizzlies Go Green, Tigers Go Green, Students in Action, Key Club, and Interact Club. And in addition to creating the clubs, we created a network and a group chat so that we're able to communicate about all upcoming events. And as you can see from the picture, the weather wasn't great, but the turnout was. So through our communications, we were able to get the word across. We had posters up, we had announcements on the PA, and it was a really great turnout, and we look forward to many future projects in the future.
And moving on with this project, we would like to raise student and staff awareness about the waste systems in each school, to promote effective waste management and sorting. This means students and staff will be able to categorize everyday items that we use during school, to distinguish eco-friendly choices, and to learn how to effectively utilize our recyclables. We would also like to have outside environmental organizations such as the San Mateo Office of Sustainability and Healthy Living Ambassadors of 4-H to work with our students and environmental clubs to better educate them about our environment and help implement those waste systems in each school. And that's it for our Go Green Committee.
Awesome. So we are going to, yeah, go ahead. We're going to bring up the next committee. So thank you guys.
Yep. I'll let you do that. Hello, members of the board, everyone else. We are part of the Securities Committee. I am John Ocampo, and I am from Jefferson High School.
And y'all know me. I'm Joe Murphy from Terra Nova.
And here,
not with us tonight is Sarah Alderson. She's another member of our group. She had a soccer game tonight, so we wish her luck.
Yep. Here in the Securities Committee, we focused on, again, let me iterate this. We are thankful that from previous last year, the work that has been gone to security and improving it and making our schools feel safe, a lot of students have been thankful that it's improved. More students do feel safe from last year and just previous years. And again, we're just here to state new problems or still little issues that we have, students have with security at our various school sites.
Yeah. Our goal here today isn't to tell anyone how to do their jobs. We're just trying to advocate for the people we represent.
Here we go.
All right, so our first topic here is personnel issues. So that's kind of a broad topic. Within that, we kind of designated behaviors and numbers. So right now, some of the issues we're encountering with regards to security are sometimes security can be too lenient in regards to certain situations. They can be too lenient in regards to certain people as opposed to others, not holding everyone to the same standards, which leads to certain students being able to get away with things that they shouldn't be able to. And we just want to make sure that the security are fair and impartial to all students throughout, so everyone is being protected and looked after and held to the same standard. The other issue in regards to numbers is with some of these bigger schools and some of our more open schools, it can be hard for security to patrol the campuses adequately, be in the right places at the right times, and so we're not going to make the school any smaller.
Yeah. For building off of that, like at Jefferson, the campus is really huge and has a lot of entry points. But as I've heard from our principal, Mr. Bashir, there's only 4 campus members on site, and it can be really difficult at times to pinpoint any location to see if whether people have come in or have come out. And it's just really difficult at times to see and to oversee the school and make sure everything is covered.
Mm-hmm. So our vision is to make sure that students have respectable and respectful security staff that are there to help them, and we want to make sure that the students know that the security are there to protect them and not they're out to get them. We want to foster that relationship, and we also want to make sure that there's enough security to adequately protect the students. So some suggestions we have in regards to that is thorough interviews and hiring processes when looking for these security personnel, as well as checkups during the year to see how they're doing, if there are any complaints or questions that people have raised, concerns, we can check in as a board with those personnel just to see how they're doing. And then the other thing is determining the correct number of necessary personnel for each school, because it's going to be different for each school. Each school is shaped different, each school is sized different, each school has different amounts of students. So determining the correct number of security needed for each school in order to adequately protect that school.
Moving on, building off of what Joe said about security with students, staff-to-student communication is very important to us as well. And some of the issues we have is, again, biased behavior and just generally feeling safe. Again, what Joe said, students feel like certain security favor other people more, and this leads to, not everyone being held to the same security standard. And then moving on to feeling safe, when certain students just feel like staff is just out to get them, sort of this feeling of, oh, there's a staff member, there must be trouble around here, or I might be the trouble, and it just gets this feeling of uneasiness from the student, and it doesn't really go well with the student and staff if there's any sort of confrontation or just general conversation. Our vision as students is students and staff respect each other with minimal to no feelings of disdain or bias from the staff to the students, or vice versa from students to staff. Some suggestions we have is, again, for the schools, to create events that involve students and staff / security officers to create a better bond between staffs and students. Moving on.
And finally, our last point here is in regard to emergency preparedness protocols and safeties. Some of the issues we see today have to do with a lack of preparedness and or seriousness by students when faced with a drill. Kids not taking it seriously, kids goofing off, not listening to instructors' instructions, not acting like, oh, it's just a drill, it's not that important, when in reality you have to treat every situation as if it's a real emergency. And another issue is that instructions on where to go, what to do in certain situations aren't readily available to all students. Not all students, there is the issue of students not taking it seriously, and then there's the issue of students seriously not knowing what to do. So the vision we have for this is that students feel prepared for any situation, cool, calm, and collected, no matter what happens. And they have the necessary resources readily available for any situation that occurs. Suggestions we have for this, this was Sarah's idea, is like on an airplane, sometimes they have the pre-flight safety check, a little video telling you what to do, something like that, that could not only be broadcasted in classrooms but also put on the school's website, just so it's very easy for students to have this information on what to do in any situation. In addition to that, handouts, physical copies of these protocols that could be given out with the teacher's syllabus at the beginning of the year, or with a student's schedule at the beginning of the year. Anything that helps a student know that no matter what the situation, there is a protocol and they know what to do in order to be safe, in order to be calm and feel ready in any situation. Because as soon as someone feels like they don't have a full grasp of the situation, that's where panic breaks out, and panic makes everything worse.
Alongside of that, we can also have students or posters going around the school promoting what to do, as well as just have the culture or have more notice about what has to be done in any given situation. That is it.
That is all. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Okay, we will bring out our last committee.
Hi, we're the facilities group. So our goal with facilities is to maintain clean, functional facilities for all of our students and staff. So if we can go ahead and introduce ourselves.
I'm Christy. I am from Westmore.
I'm Tiana. I'm from Terra Nova.
Hi, I'm Mark. I'm from Jefferson High School.
Hi, I'm Ella. I'm from Westmore.
So first we're going to be talking about supply upkeep and cleanliness. So oftentimes bathrooms lack necessary supplies and are not clean. So for example, when I walk into a bathroom, I shouldn't have to go check inside the stall and see if there's toilet paper or all the necessary things that I would need to use a bathroom. So it's necessary to keep paper towels, soap, toilet paper, and toilet seat covers stocked and ready to use. So a lot of the times bathrooms, there are paper towel wads on the ceilings, toilet paper all over the floor. The stall walls might not be clean, and in some of our swimming pools there are dead bugs and plant material. So although these facilities are meant to help people practice hygiene, oftentimes our bathrooms may not provide that support for them. So one of our solutions is to develop a notification system for custodians, such as posting a sign where you could text the numbers to notify them that a certain product needs to be restocked or there is a mess that needs to be cleaned up, and also to make sure that there are more thorough and frequent cleanings in our facilities.
So kind of an example of what she was saying with the notification system. This is a sign in a Terra Nova bathroom where there's a system where we can text or email the tntigertips@gmail.com to say, hey, this bathroom needs toilet paper, or this door is broken, or something like that. So I think it'd be really great if we were able to implement a system like this in all of the schools.
One of the main problems that students also face with facilities is maintenance. Oftentimes, I would use the restroom and there would be no tissue paper, or the soap dispenser would be also empty or broken. I would go to the bathroom again later on the day, and students will also have this problem where like the sinks aren't working, and so like the buttons aren't working, so only like 1 or 2 students can use the sinks, and then there would be like a huge line, waiting so they can just wash their hands. Having a maintenance system would be a great solution to this problem. For instance, a new system for sinks, such as the photo on the right, would be more efficient, for it's not easily broken like the sinks that we have now. Also, air dryers instead of paper towel dispensers would also be better, since it's a lot more eco-friendly.
And we do realize that it would take a lot of money to be able to renovate the bathrooms, but these are just some suggestions in case we were able to get the funds for that.
All right, so our next one is for stalls and urinals. So all schools have this prominent problem where the stall doors are so crooked that they can't close, or that the locks on them are broken frequently. And also that gaps between the stall doors are too wide. So if you take a look at the picture on your top right, it kind of hits all 3 of those problems. And it's actually at one of our schools. So just that sense of brokenness kind of disrupts the privacy of the students and their need to use those stalls sometimes. So other problems are actually gender specific to the guys' restrooms, where as you can see on the picture on the bottom right, it's actually low-key an invasion of privacy, because as you can see, there are 4 urinals stacked right next to each other without a single barrier in between. So it's very hard for students to be able to use all 4 at the same time. So the most I've seen people use is 2 at a time, so the ones at the ends, because they feel the most private. So to fix this problem, a few solutions are to renovate and fix the stalls overall, whether by realigning doors or fixing the locks, and implementing the dividers needed between each urinal so that we can have privacy for the students at our school.
So a couple larger issues that we've noticed is inclusivity of LGBTQ plus students. So there is a higher population of transgender students than might be than you might be aware of. So I think that it's really important that we have gender neutral bathrooms and locker rooms, because it's really hard to not only come out as transgender, but then to also be able have to make that decision of, oh, where do I use the bathroom? That I just feel like nobody should have to go through the process of having to make a choice like that in their day-to-day lives, because a lot of my friends that are transgender, they just don't use the bathroom at school, and that's not okay, that they feel like that's their only option. So I feel like this is a really big pressing issue that we need to address. And what I suggest for this is to just convert a couple of the gender exclusive bathrooms to gender inclusive ones. That we already have the bathrooms there, and we can leave a few of the exclusive male-female ones if there are some students that don't feel comfortable with the gender-neutral ones. But just to have that space where those students can feel comfortable is really important. Another problem in all of our schools is temperature control for showers. I think this is mostly an issue for people in PE and swimming and sports, but at least at Terra Nova, and I know at our other schools also, our showers just have a button that you press for the water to come out, and either it's freezing cold, which would be, not pleasant, but it could be, you could deal with it. But then they'll sometimes be so scalding hot that you can't even take a shower without burning yourself. So it is really important for our students to be able to have access to showers, just because, I've had times where I've had a swim meet and then I had to go to a mock trial competition. So, I had to be able to shower at school in order to get to the competition on time. So it really is important for these resources to be available to our students. So suggestions are having like knobs for temperature control instead of just a button that you press.
All right, so one of our last points is actually with the access to some of our restrooms at our schools. So how some restrooms are actually not open to their students due to, one, their mistreatment of it, but then also there's a sense of lack of supervision between the security and the janitors. One, we already explained in the security slide how security has to be involved in a lot of other areas in the school instead of just restroom like monitoring. So that's a big problem that we see already. So students struggle with this issue because they also need to go to a restroom close to their class, so they either won't be late or have to spend excessive time looking for one. So one thing we suggest is that supervisors can do regular checkups on restrooms to check for any suspicious activity or small trash that they could just pick up and throw away. But another idea is also that many schools do not have enough of them to do such a thing. So if they have so hiring more supervisors or janitors to do so can increase the accessibility of restrooms and keep the campus more safe and secure. So last thing is it's not only like the supervisors' problems, it's also our problems. So we also have to do something to make it more aware with our student body. So one of the things we can do is to have students and janitors actually present to the student body about facility respect, either during our assemblies or in class, so that we can keep our restrooms open for everyone. Yeah.
So thank you, that was our presentation. Now's the time, like if you had any thoughts, any questions, yeah.
Yes.
Before you guys jump into questions, do you think we can have one representative from each of the committees go up to the microphone for questions? Just so you don't have to call people.
That's true. Good.
Whoever wants to take the question.
Cool. They're pretty impressive. Yeah. I know.
Do you all need jobs?
Wow.
I'm impressed.
Cool.
Now, any questions?
Opening it up.
Yep, impressive presentation all the way around from all three groups. First for the Dream Group, I was out there for the beach cleanup, and it was very impressive to see how many students and how all the schools were represented. And I encourage you to find another time to do it, because it was actually really fun to see how overwhelmed the Pacific Beach Coalition was with the turnout from JUHSD. So definitely keep that up. The facilities group, I'm glad that you guys wrapped it up talking about facility respect, and I think that's really that's a key thing. It really is a joint thing, right? Because the pride in your school actually begins in pride in your facility. I mean, you want to be proud about the building that you spend the majority of your time in during the school year, and so I'm really grateful for that. And some wonderful ideas that certainly, you've given me a lot to think about. So very much appreciate the honesty that you've brought to this, and same thing with the security group. You guys have really thought through specifically types of solutions. Well, all three of you guys, all three groups have, but I really appreciate how thoughtful, what a thoughtful presentation you have, and the way and the suggestions, and again, it's that you guys, the security group, you also talked about the bond between staff and students, and that's really just. I think culture is just such a huge piece of it. Creating relationships, talking to each other. Oh, that word, that C word again. Communication. It's wonderful that is really one of the core elements that each of you have brought to this. So thank you.
Yeah, good presentation. I think it's interesting. One of the things that our associate students and student government, our student advisory council is bringing together are different issues that address what people think sometimes as just kind of peripheral issues like environmental things people will take for granted, right? Like, we're beginning to finally see that in some of our cities, right, where we have a compost, recycling, and then, of course, landfill or trash, right? I know the school I work at is a surprise that we don't have some of those things, right? But in other parts of the district and big cities we do. So thank you for addressing that, because I think environmental justice and climate change and all these things is a part of social justice, right? And we see how the environment impacts our communities, and that stems into facilities and security, and so all these things affect us. And I'm glad that all of you took kind of like a lot of time and obviously a lot of input from other students in every site to address this. I think these are all very sensible recommendations and things that I don't see why we couldn't implement. Of course, like funding, withstanding, like what can we do, right? But I think it's something that we should be moving forward on, and if we don't ask, then it doesn't happen, right? So in many parts of society, you have to make demands in order to get change, but in our community we do care about it. And so I'm glad you've all organized across the district. And one of the things I just want to point out, having Grizzlies Go Green and be something that's like at every campus, not just the only campus doing that. Every campus has an environmental club of some nature, right? But like creating some collaboration across campuses to the point where you see a coalition of those concerns coming across all parts of our district, which is like 5 jurisdictions, right? It's like 4 cities and Broadmoor. So like you have all these ideas that I think people will identify across, no matter where they live, which is a huge influence. I think maybe even other districts can look at it that way and implement that as well. So thank you for your leadership within the district, and hopefully that can build it without too outside of that. So, good job.
We'll add to it. Just thank you for the great presentation. Thank you for being a voice for all the students, voicing concerns and bringing up solutions, where it's, not just talking about the problem and talking about how we can fix something, and that, you're not just placing the blame on one person, but say how we can all create some kind of solution for everyone in the school district, in our community, trying to clean up our community, trying to make a safer environment for our community. And, I want to apologize for that, and great work, and thank you for the student advisors for, making the effort, putting the effort, and helping me guide you and in the right direction, how we can be, how you can be a better voice for our community to make it better and safer for everyone. So thank you.
We really just sit back and watch the magic happen, really. It is amazing to watch you just come up with your own priorities of what's important for the district. And that's what I love about this Student Advisory Council, is that you're individual schools, but you're working together for the district. You're sharing ideas, and you're finding that there's so many commonalities, that there's so many problems that are not unique to one school necessarily, and you're trying to find these solutions. It's, God, there's so much to think about there, but with the solutions that you're offering are amazing. What gets me is that we just approved these SARCs, and it says the conditions of the facilities are exemplary, and then you come here and I don't know how we have these reports that say that, they check off the list that everything's good, and our students come up and they tell us that there's so many things that need to be improved. Things are broken. There's no soap. These are things you need to live, really. If you're going to be when we're all coughing, if you're going to be surviving in this environment, and it's just basic hygiene is so important. And I really liked how fearless you were in pinpointing areas of concern and actually being tactful in presenting to the board. That is a skill that's going to get you very far, and I appreciate it. You're direct, but you're also respectful, because this stuff is, we need to hear this, and you're the ones who have to bring it to us. And I appreciate all the hard work you put into it. Thank you.
So I thought it was very thoughtful, tactful, and realistic presentation. I have to agree with a couple of the trustees that you did a great job of spreading the responsibilities around, and everybody has a role in each of those 3 proposals, so thank you for that. Also, thank you for being respectful of the budget, because you clearly understand that. But I think there are many things in the proposal that, regardless of additional money, can actually be looked at and incorporated. I just think there are things in there, a number of things actually. And so I wrote down, as a next step for me, is to make sure I have you come back and present at an instructional council meeting, and then make sure full cabinet is there. Because I think there are things that principals will want to act on right away. I think there are things directors will want to act on right away. So I don't want to waste any time, because if we can make some changes now, we should do that, right? But well done, well done.
So I think one of the first steps should be the LCAP, and before we send them off to the sites, like, let's have that discussion in regards to the LCAP and goals, and have a set plan, and like toss it out at large, so that we can make sure that it's not just us telling, like adding another thing on, but that there's a plan on how we go about accomplishing these things together, that it's all of us together working on this, and just not another thing that we are dropping on the sites to do without any support. So I just want to make sure that anything that we implement is something that could be ongoing and long-lasting and has a support to do it, so that it's actually done and that we don't have to continue to talk about certain things. So I know that we've taken up a lot of your time, but if one representative can come to the LCAP meeting, just so we can, from each group, so that we can have that discussion via LCAP. And I know that there was also talk about following up on the presentation that they'd given before about goals that were in there, and I know, so just to have the full discussion on the 2 presentations with recommendations that have been given, seeing what's feasible for us to move forward on right away, and then what we can put for the future to work towards, especially in terms of budget and staffing, et cetera. And then lastly, I want to thank all of you for all the time and effort that you put into this presentation. It's evident how serious you took the material and the matter with the outcome, what the presentation and how it was presented. I challenge anyone in the state to question the relevance of student voice and student advisory at any school. And also being open to input and feedback. I'm extremely appreciative of that. So you guys were all really open to me. And hearing, it was a very collaborative effort that was student-led. And so I was very happy to be a part of the process. So thank you for allowing me to do that. So I'm looking forward to, this is just the beginning, not the end. I'm looking forward to continuing to talk about these things and moving forward with seeing what we can, what can we accomplish and how we can move forward with taking the steps to make sure that we don't have to continue talking about these things, that we settle these for good. So thank you very much. Anything else? Thank you. All right. Thank you.
Okay, get back up here.
Or if you need
or
to
if
go.
You have to leave.
Yeah, we totally understand that some of you need to leave.
Oh my God, the video.
While they're moving around, we're moving on to 14A2 to 14A9. I don't know if anyone had any questions or comments on the BPs or ARs. Oh, okay, so moving forward with those on. Next item up for discussion is our business services, the 2018-2019 financial audit. Kicking it over to Ms. Benra first.
Thank you, President Salahuddin and board trustees. Education code requires that we have a financial audit every year. And this year we contracted with Siobhan and Associates for this And Mr. Sheldon Chauvin is here tonight to give you a brief overview. I believe that you have the audit in front of you, so if you have any questions here, I should be able to answer them, and then you'll have an opportunity to formally accept the audit.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
You have very intellectual students. And if they want to become a CPA, let me know. Have to stop doing the audit, but that's okay. I have a little bit of an issue with governmental accounting standards, and I like to talk too much about them. So if we want to spend about an hour going over deferred inflows and outflows, we can. Nah, we'll skip that. All right, so what we're going to do tonight is basically just a quick summary of how the audit went. I'm just going to touch a little bit on the phases of the audit and the standards that we follow, and then just the results, and then leave it open for Q&A. You know, quite often I'll do 20, 30 slides on this audit. Sometimes I do 3, sometimes I do none, sometimes I do Q&A. So tonight we'll give you a combination. So June 30, 2019, keep in mind the purpose of the audit is to basically let readers know, citizens, and anybody else that has any type of impact from the school district, that the financial statements are free from material misstatement, whether it be from error or non-compliance, and to a certain effect, fraud. The audits are not designed to detect fraud. However, if we become aware of fraud, we will adjust the audit and adjust our risk in order to follow up on any fraud issues we detect. There are 3 phases in the audit. The first phase is phase 1, obviously, internal controls, documentation, and testing. We also test compliance, and we typically do this in April, May, or June. We spend quite a bit of time doing some attendance testing at the sites during phase 1 as well. This rolls into phase 2. Phase 2 is the substantive testing, where we're testing cash investments, long-term assets, long-term debt, net pension liability, other post-employment benefits, payroll, revenues, expenses, expenditures. We also wrap up the compliance testing specifically related to the major federal programs. For example, this year we tested special education, child nutrition, and so we spent quite a bit of time in October, I think it was, might have been November, on those 2 programs. And then, of course, the third phase is the reporting, which ends tonight, will be done. And we've already submitted the report to the state, and they take about 2 years to certify it, it seems. It's supposed to be 3 months, it actually ends up being about 5 or 6. It just feels like 2 years. Yeah. And so the standards that we follow include generally accepted auditing standards, which basically AICPA says every audit should be done under, unless you're a public company. Generally accepted governmental auditing standards. And of course, these are all in the United States of America. Uniform guidance. So if you spend $750,000 or more in federal awards, you fall under uniform guidance, which is the Single Audit Act. And then, of course, the Education Audit Appeals Panel. Okay, what's that? Well, that's not necessarily a standard. What that is it is a guide provided by the State Controller's Office that basically tells auditors if you don't test these 35 or so compliance areas, then you shouldn't be doing this. So we test them. And not every single one of those compliance areas applies to every district. Approximately 22 or 23 applied to your district. Within each of these areas, you might have anywhere from 2 to 20 different procedures that we have to follow. So it's a very cumbersome process. It takes time. And that's why, you know, we're here giving a history lesson on audited financial statements. It's January in 2020, and we're looking at June 30, 2019. So information I provide to you tonight is kind of old news in the sense that you've already moved forward in your budgets. However, there is something that you can gain from financial information in the audit report that you won't see throughout the year, which is the government-wide presentation. You get to see those net pension liabilities. You get to see the net OPEB liability, capital assets, and other long-term debt. You get to see the accreted interest that you have, which, by the way, isn't too bad. General obligation bonds. You get to see all these different numbers that you wouldn't normally see in a financial statement. The results. So with all of these procedures that we follow and all these standards, we issued an unmodified opinion in all the opinions that we've provided. So that's as good as it gets. Basically, there's no qualifications in the report. We did have one significant deficiency. For the child nutrition program, there's a 3% verification audit that the district has to do every year. It didn't get done because of turnover. They're on top of it. They've already corrected the issues. And if you're going to have a fine in child nutrition, This is probably one of the least significant findings that you can have because there aren't any question costs. But still, it's a finding and it has to be dealt with. All right, so if you want to talk about some numbers, I can give you some net pension liability numbers. No? I'll tell you what. Let me give you one thing. Annual required contributions for PERS and STIRS went up 67% since 2015 for PERS, went up 100% since 2015 for STIRS. So there you go, a couple numbers. Any questions or comments?
It was good to see you confirm some of the stuff that we have heard from Ms. Van Raphorst over the past couple of years about our financial situation. So, within your MD&A to actually talk about us being basic aid status and the benefits and the risks associated with it. I mean, it was nice to actually have your confirmation of the same conclusions that she has shared with us over the past couple of years. The same thing with the STIRS and PERS liabilities. I mean, it's you're once again just confirming the rough story that it is, to put it mildly.
And that actually is, Tina, on page 13, the MD&A factor section. That is the one piece of the report. You have about 8 or 9 pages in there that are unaudited. Technically, we actually do audit them, but we're required to say they're unaudited. But I can't take credit for that factor section. However, I do concur with it. Absolutely. Yes. Absolutely.
I mean, this is why audits are here, so that we can catch these things and correct them before state action. And I know that, it was just recently reported now, or that, the different stakeholder groups that are looking at LCAP are really focusing on how we're spending the money. And we want to make sure we're getting our numbers correct, especially on duplicated, so that if we don't have those numbers, then we shouldn't be spending the money in that area. And if we do, making sure that we spend. So they're really looking at how much money we get for unduplicated and making sure that it's spent correctly. So getting that heads up now to check that is big. So I'm glad that we're on top of that. And then STIRS and PERS, I mean, the state needs to step up. I mean, that's just a commentary. I mean, we need our pension programs because, what other benefit do we have to give our teachers and staff except for their pensions? And so that has to be there, but the state can't balance the budget on our backs and move that liability to us. So thank you for those numbers. Tina, is always great to have when I talk to our legislators. So it's an ongoing fight, an ongoing battle. But thank you for their work in doing this. It really helps our job in being fiscal overseers to have another outside party verify what's being told internally. So thank you for the work.
I appreciate that. And I'd like to say thank you to Tina and her staff and the school sites for putting up with my team, because we dig.
That's awesome.
But they are very polite and respectful when they're here, and I appreciate that as well.
Thank you. It's good to hear.
A pleasure to work with you and your staff.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Any other questions? No. Okay, so we have to motion
To approve the financial audit report?
Second. All in favor? Aye. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you very much.
Have a good night. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Okay. What was that?
Who was the second one?
I think it was Nick. Okay, so consideration of future agenda items. So there is going to be an email going out about the agenda for the 23rd. We're working on that now. So so that should go out probably tomorrow. Yeah. So it's just going to have some guidance for the elected board members who are coming to that meeting, of things to look into and think about before we come to the meeting the day of.
Are you going to send that out, or you want me to send it out?
I can send it out if you like. Okay, so I'll send it out tonight when I get home.
Okay.
And unless there are any other one other item I just had is that talking about the great presentation tonight, we do need to start the process of electing new trustees and student advisory committee for next year. Yes. So I I don't know if that needs to be on our agenda, but just something that we think about and talk about. Because it did take a little bit of time, and it was nice to have them installed while the current school year was still, so they could have a
Nice having them here in June.
Right. Anything else for future?
Have we, do we need to talk about, well, at some point, I think probably at the next meeting about the schedule for February?
Oh, we need to add to the next agenda.
Schedule for the, I think it's the February 25th meeting. I know I'm going to be out of town that day.
And I think Carla is as well. When is our next meeting? The 11th. So can we add to the 11th?
A discussion about a new date for the 25th, so that'll be an action item?
Yes.
Can Ms. Bell, Canada Bell, collect feedback from you? And that way she can recommend a date that works for all of you, and we can expedite that.
I mean, because could we do, I mean, can one of the days we just talked out be the 24th, just moving it to Monday?
I'm gonna be gone that whole week.
Okay, but we'll have a quorum though.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes, I'm sorry, yes, sorry. Yes, I'm sorry about that.
I'm gonna be gone on the 25th, but I'll hear on the 24th.
So everyone except Carla can be here on January 24th.
February 24th.
February 24th.
This is what day of the week?
Monday.
I'm not sure if I can do it, but I'll see.
Okay, well, so far we have 3, so yeah, so let's look for the
Do we
24th.
need to have a meeting? Do we have? Are we just assuming there might be some consent?
Let's just put it on, and if we need to, we could cancel it as we get closer, but yeah. Yeah, we probably, yeah. So at least we know for sure we'll have 3, and then we'll wait to hear back from, but and then also if it's not a huge agenda, we'll just keep it at a 3, because we're probably just approving. Cool, all right.
And then you're going to return, so we need to return to closed session because I have a settlement agreement I need you to.
Yep, we're going to just close the open session unless anything else for future agenda?
Nope.
Okay, we're gonna close open session and return to closed session right now, so thank you, everyone. Oh, sorry. All right, I'm sorry, before we close open session, we are adjourning tonight's meeting in honor of JUHSD employee Dominador Caballero. Dominador passed away on December 20th, 2019. He was hired by JUHSD in June of 2007 to work in food service and maintenance at Thornton High School. After being hired to work at Thornton, he then transferred in January 2008 to work at Oceana High School as a custodian. He remained as a night custodian at Oceana until he retired June 30th, 2019. So we, the JUHSD Board of Trustees, send our condolences to his wife and a host of family, friends, and loved ones. So, closing tonight's meeting in honor of our longtime employee. All right. Thank you. Have a good night.
So we have to actually adjourn and then come back.
Well, we're not, it's not adjourned, because
We're not adjourned.
We're not adjourned yet.
We are adjourning.
Yeah, they are.